Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. Today, we are interviewing Miss Robbin Turner. So welcome to the show, Robbin. We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And one thing I love is you are the founder of Violet Botanical Skincare. And what I love about this, it's a plant-based skincare that embraces connections to ancestral African healing herbs. How did you start this company? Why did you start this company? Tell me everything about it.
Okay. Well, back in about 2014, my husband and son, they have eczema. And so I wanted to help them relieve their eczema. And so the over-the-counter stuff is filled with petrochemicals and it didn't work. And then the doctor wants to prescribe steroid creams, but steroid creams over time makes it worse. So I thought, no, there has to be a better way. So I thought back to my grandmother, and she's from the South, and they would make these things. And growing up, we'd laugh at them and call them, these old wives' remedies. But they worked. They didn't taste good, they didn't smell good, but they worked. And so I started doing my research on different things to just kind of relieve the itch and the inflammation. And that's when it led me back to the African herbs and aromatherapy. And that's how I got started with the business.
And I just love the fact that you pointed out that a lot of the stuff we're being prescribed are petroleum based, they're chemicals. These are not natural. These are not meant to be put on the human body. And we've kind of been enlightened recently that these are bad for you and we should be sticking with natural.
Correct. And actually, crazy thing, and I don't understand how this happens, but there's a chemical in the steroid creams that actually causes flare-ups and inflammation. So it's like you're prescribing this anti-inflammatory. It's an antihistamine medicine, yes, and it's propylene glycol, and it's like this causes inflammation, but it's in a lot of these anti-inflammatory medicines.
So it just keeps making you come back and buy more, apparently.
Exactly. It's almost like the whole shampoo thing. Wash, rinse, repeat. And it's like, you don't really need to keep repeating it. One time is good.
One time's good. And so with, impact investing and working with African cultures and communities, you and I talked about the different types of shea butter, which I didn't realize there were two different types. So maybe you want to tell the audience about that.
Exactly. So most people are used to the Ghanaian shea, the West African shea butter. And that's typically that shea butter where it's a little firmer, it's a little harder because the shea nut is harder. And you have to work it to just kind of smooth it out and warm it up so that you can apply it. The shea butter that I use is the East African shea butter, and it comes from Uganda. It's grown exclusively in Uganda, and so it's a softer shea nut. So it has a lighter aroma, because I know sometimes people will complain about the aroma of the shea butter, and it has a lighter aroma and it's softer. So literally, right out of the jar, I can just apply it. So you don't have to do, because I know a lot of times when people make body butters, they'll have to melt the butters down because they're hard and then kind of re-solidify them a bit to whip them. I don't. I do hand process because, I do hand process and cold process. And that's the traditional way to do it. And because when you think about it, the ingredients that I use come from nuts and fruits and berries. And so it's like a food. The more you cook it and the more you manipulate it, the more nutrients leach out. So it's kind of defeating the purpose of kind of using using plant-based ingredients. Yes.
And I'm a huge fan of impact investing, especially in, the African cultures, because for years they have been struggling. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of natural resources we could use, especially the natural herbs, the shea butters, and going direct and not, going through other people or, doing something with a large corporation, which may not have the most ethical background. You went direct, you're helping these communities out. I think that's fantastic. And the social justice aspect is gigantic with that because we're putting our dollars directly with these people. Could you tell us a little bit about the people that you buy from?
Right, right. So I go with a small family producer. It's two sisters and a brother-in-law. And what they are doing is they're in Botswana. And what they do is they're going out to the harvesters and they work with women's collectives. And they're going out to them and they're teaching them because they know that here in the West, we want organic. We want all the bells and whistles, to make sure that it's pure. And so they're going out and they're teaching them, first of all, how to harvest properly. And when I say harvest, it's not farm. These women, they get up in groups and they go out early in the morning and they collect these, like the shea nuts, or the marula fruit. And these are things that they collect off of the ground. It's not like they're
Not
over
shaking the
harvesting.
tree.
Exactly. They're not shaking, right. They're not shaking trees and cutting down trees to do this. And so they go out and they harvest these things that, like I said, fall to the ground. So they're teaching them how to, be ecocert, which is the European organic certification, ecocert, and to be USDA organic. And then think about it, these shade trees in Uganda, the Nilotica shade tree, well, they had been neglected for years because all the wars that have been going on over there. So they've been very neglected. So now they're teaching them to be the stewards of this land and of these ingredients so that they can help their community thrive. They can help their families thrive.
You're giving them a living wage. You're giving them the ability to grow.
And they're paid a fair compensation for their harvest.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. And unfortunately, so many companies have exploited these people for decades, generations.
Exactly. And that's why the United Nations actually calls shea butter women's gold, because all across Africa, it provides an income for rural women.
I had no idea. I absolutely love that. That's like taking your impact investing to a whole new level. That's
exactly.
And you're also cruelty-free, I believe.
Yes, we are certified cruelty-free. And that was another thing that I wanted to be conscious of, is because it's, we don't need to test on animals. Me personally, I'm vegan, so I I love little furry friends, and we don't need to test on them. And when you have plant-based ingredients, it's in the African culture, you're taught that, okay, so you have three types of herbs. You have a weed, you have stuff that's good for you, and then you have stuff that's unsafe for you, say like poison ivy or poison oak.
Yeah.
And they're used for they're either used for your health or for healing. And that's how herbs are used, and that's how they're looked upon. And most people are like, oh, this herbalism thing. But you know what? If you put spices in your food, you put in garlic powder, paprika, well, guess what? You're into herbalism, because that's that. So it's about living off of the land, not abusing it. Think about it. Rural people, they don't have a big box store to run out to.
Yeah.
So they have to make use and make do with what they have, and they've learned to live with the land. And a lot of times when we get illness, it's thought that because you're living out of balance with the earth.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yes.
There's a lot of truth in that statement.
Yes. So that's where they say that where illness comes from, because you're out of balance with the earth.
That's kind of hitting home, because whenever I do get sick, I realize, well, you did something stupid and you probably ate something you shouldn't have. And
exactly.
So I've definitely been out of bed. I love that statement, though. That's actually really well said, and it puts things into really good perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. And then think about when you have plant-based ingredients and herbal ingredients, think about it. It connects us to it It's good for our skin.
Yeah,
It's good for our minds. It's good for our bodies. It connects us to other people, right? Around the world, and
absolutely.
it connects us to nature. So it's just a strong connection, and it's good for your body, your soul, for the environment. It's
Absolutely.
just a strong connection, and that's why I talk about to embrace that connection.
And it's also keeping the garbage chemicals off of your body and out of your body. Because I'm
Yes.
sorry, most things that you buy nowadays, you read the back of the label and it's chemistry,
Ex-
advanced chemistry.
Exactly, exactly. And technically everything is a chemical. So I always try to distinguish it between synthetic chemicals and then, the natural chemical. And when you think about it, during the Industrial Revolution age, the Rockefeller time, think about it. We used plant-based medicines back then. You would go to a compounding pharmacy. Like
Yep.
nowadays, that is very unusual.
It's hard to
You'll
find.
see a few around. I know there's one in Beverly Hills. There's this compounding pharmacy. But when you would go to the pharmacist would use, that's why they have that symbol of the
Mortal.
mortar and
Yeah,
pestle,
they would grind
because
it up.
they would compound and then they would put it in the capsules. So during Industrial Revolution and kind of that Rockefeller age, that's when they were like, let's make it faster, let's make it quicker, let's use more
Consume, consume, consume,
man-based.
consume.
Exactly. But they're trying to mimic what's in nature. And I always say, why take an imitation when you can have the original?
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a little more effort and a little more
Exactly.
planning, but it's
It does.
ultimately
Yes.
the healthiest thing you can do for yourself. And we've pumped ourselves up with so much garbage, especially in the States and, more civilized cultures. We need to take a step back and be like, okay, we kind of messed things up. We got to fix it. We got to kind of go back to the way things were because that was the healthiest way to do that.
Exactly.
Which brings me to,
Mhm.
how are people going to find you and order from you because your products are wonderful?
Oh, thank you. Well, you can find me. I'm online at www.violetbody.net. And across social media, I'm at Violet Body Me.
Violet Body Me? I love that. And why Violet? Random question. Why the name Violet?
Well, violets are blue,
Mhm.
and if you see my packaging, it's a blue color. And in Egyptian herbalism and aromatherapy, or in ancient Egyptian, that blue color is a godly color, and it meant to the godliness. And when you see some of the pharaohs and the queens, they will sometimes have blue eyes that they're painted, or they have blue hair because they
Yeah.
want it to be godly. And then also because of I'm a Gullah descendant from Low Country, South Carolina. So I'm a descendant of the Gullah people, and you will see when you go in Low Country, South Carolina, some places in Georgia, that they call bottle trees, and people will put blue bottles on their trees.
Yeah.
And so that's something that actually comes from West Africa, the Central West Africa region, from Congo and Angola. And so it was thought that the evil spirits would be attracted to the reflection from the sun, and they would go into the bottle. And then some people would either cork the bottle and throw them into the water, or they felt that when the sun hits the bottle, then the sun would do away with the evil spirit. And they did that to keep evil spirits from out of their home. So it's kind of an homage to the Egyptian aromatherapy and herbalism, which my brand is based on, and an homage to my Gullah ancestry.
And also it makes you a goddess to use it.
Exactly.
I just love that. Well, thank you for your time today. So, guys, check
You're
out the
welcome.
Violet Beauty skincare line. It's wonderful looking, it's natural, cruelty free, herbalism, and you're supporting countries in Africa, which is the
Ex-
huge. That's absolutely huge.
exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So, thank you guys, and we will catch you next time. Enjoy your day, and we will see you soon. Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much for having me. Bye bye.